about that last home game that was played right after our last meeting. And you never want to give up. Third time on you, so that's right. But it was about that is it was nice to have the lights going that the Custer County Booster Club, which all the community could participate in putting out there, and we had that last Friday night lights without snow.
There you go. Okay, thank you, sir. I would reiterate the same thing. I think a lot of us attended a couple of the same meetings. The one that I will bring up would be the UCOG meeting that I attended in Canyon City. Thought it was a pretty productive meeting. They have a new gentleman on staff, Max, and forgive me for not remembering his last name. But I think he's going to be a good addition to the COG. And they are finishing up a set of self-help housing in Canyon. One thing that kind of entered into the discussion while we were down there was maybe a possibility of using some of our lots up here to go towards that self-help. It'd be a conversation we'd need to have with the COG or something like that if we wanted to move forward with something like that. And they do 3 at a time. And I know there'd be some things we'd need to iron out with them if we were to do something like that with some of these lots. Whether it's the ones we picked up from the college or some there on the north side of the highway. Either one, the ones that are on the north don't have all of the infrastructure up to them at this point. So that's a conversation that we might think about having. And they're looking on trying to help with some of our housing problems as well. You know, whether it's that or something else.
How to help?
Yeah.
What kind of help?
With our attainable housing.
Right, but what does that mean? Money or coming up here and building?
They handle a lot of loans, low cost loans for individuals and things of that nature as well. They facilitate those. They do the self-help housing. In actuality, our attainable housing board is to be working with them pretty closely. Yeah. The way it's set up to be working together for the housing. So, but I think this new gentleman on board is going to be a great asset to that.
Was Charles Bowl at that meeting?
He was not at that meeting there, so.
I would assume we want to reach out to the Attainable Housing Board to have a discussion with them that involves those lots and Silver Cliff.
Yes, probably so. Now he is aware, he's actually brought Max in on the Attainable Housing Board. It hasn't come to us yet, but I know he has been working with him some up to this point, so.
And then I don't know what will come of it, but we actually voted in a BOCC meeting to authorize or to dedicate those lots north of the highway, east of Silver Cliff, to Veteran Service Office. Remember that?
That is correct.
So we probably ought
Throw it in the mix.
to at least honor that commitment to Jared.
Yes. So
Or at
that,
least have a conversation with him to say, hey, we got a chance maybe to do something different.
and maybe I don't know, that would be a conversation to be had with all the parties, I guess, on whether that would tie into something the COG would be doing as well. Maybe they could come in and alongside and help with that as well.
Yeah.
However that looks.
I just don't think it'd be right to turn those lots over to somebody else when they've already committed them for veteran housing.
I would agree.
And
Thank you for reminding me of that
Yeah.
action.
It's been a while since we did that, so.
Okay. That would be all for me.
and one thing I'd like to ask is Braden's here still, on one of these meetings tomorrow or the next day, Braden will probably need to put on there a discussion of the DA's budget. Because we're gonna have to authorize an amount and everybody's in agreement right now, but initially it'd probably be last year's amount. And then we can discuss how that plays out. So that maybe there's mid-year, they're gonna be wanting to update it or do something, because right now that'd be a penalty to her because of the inflation that's happened as well. So that'll be something to discuss later, but we need to get on the agenda so we can approve something, because they're gonna be wanting to collect something, because they're gonna have to start spending money at fiscal year.
We'll put that on
Tomorrow or the next day, whatever is easy.
Why don't we do 11-2, just because we don't have anything on that agenda yet?
Okay,
That'll work. Yep. Make sure that we met our timeline
And
as
it will
well.
also make sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
One other thing I would bring up is the other day we approved a transfer for the airport fund. We did not take the action to actually move that money. And Braden has
followed up.
furnished us a resolution for that.
Okay.
Or I guess this is not the resolution. This is the transfer document. Then we made that,
Do we make it a two-part resolution? That'll happen.
The decision was made on October 5th, but from Kelly to follow how we do a fund transfer, this letter has to be approved. And then she signs it, then I can actually transfer.
Cool. Whatever it takes.
so I would move that we approve this letter for the transfer of $24,000 from the county general fund to the airport fund.
Second.
Yeah, I do have a motion on the floor to approve this letter and transfer $24,000 from the county general fund to the airport fund. Any further discussion on this?
Just as a reminder, this was budgeted. We just never got the money transferred, correct? This is unbudgeted. Okay. Couldn't remember how that conversation went. And this was to help for the fuel.
This was to help with fuel and creating a buffer that way. It dip into
Right.
negative margin because of cash flow.
Coming out of general fund.
Anything else? Okay, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And that's Kelly. And that would be all that I have. That will take us to attorney
Oh,
item.
boy.
I love your outfit today, by the way.
Well, thank you.
The dirty old grumpy man out there.
I tried to dress as a
Costume.
sleazy lawyer. Had a lot of practice. I met with Dorothy this morning, our planning and zoning director. It's on the agenda for tomorrow, a resolution to vacate a road out there in the Deweese subdivision area, which I hadn't gotten around to. I'm gonna try to get that resolution done. It slipped through the cracks, so
I'll hope they'll have that ready for tomorrow. And of course, Dorothy and I talked about some other problems that are going on, which, you know, it's constant for her office. At the, well, let me take this first. I got a request last week from the undersheriff. He signs it as Lloyd Smith, but he is applying for, on behalf of the sheriff's office, for a $25,000 grant from the Department of Local Affairs. And he had some questions about it. I had done this before in the past on a grant application, so I helped him out. Need a letter from the county attorney saying that Custer County debruced, which is the procedure for getting out of the Tabor requirements, the Tabor amendment. That was done way back in 1997, but I had to prepare a letter and send it to him to say that we were not subject to the requirements of Tabor. So I'm sure he'll get that $25,000 grant, which is, as I understand it, would be used for mental health counseling for members of the sheriff's department. Before I forget, also, I need to leave at 11:30 today. I won't be at the Board of Health meeting, and if this meeting is still going on, I'm gonna have to leave then because I got a doctor's appointment at 1 o'clock. At our meeting in Wetmore, I brought up the fact, Kelly and I talked about the lawsuit that had been filed against her in her capacity as the clerk and reporter by the recall committee. As you know, the recall committee came up a few signatures short of qualifying to have a recall election, and the lawsuit was filed. We talked about the possibility of retaining outside counsel to represent Kelly, and I inquired. She had talked to somebody, an attorney for the Secretary of State's office, and he'd given us another name. I sent an email to both of them asking, you know, if they could give us some idea of what it might cost for a retainer and an hourly rate for outside counsel. I never got a response. Kelly and I talked, and we agreed that I could just go ahead and handle it for her, which I'm doing. I entered my appearance on her behalf, and I got a response to the petition that was filed. I got my response prepared and e-filed it last Thursday. And that's where things stand. The next step will be to decide, or for the judge to decide. It's Judge Wenner, I think Lynn Winter is her name, out of Canyon City, has been assigned the case. And along with the response I filed to the lawsuit, I filed a motion to dismiss. And I'm not sure how Judge Winter will want to handle that. But Kelly is being represented, and I feel like we have a pretty good chance of prevailing in that matter.
Okay, quick question.
Yeah.
So I know Kelly had a 21-day period to respond, and you responding met that requirement.
Yeah, she was served on October 12th. That started the clock running on the 21 days. But when I filed the response last Thursday, that satisfied the requirements. So there has been a proper response filed, and we'll go from there on it. And I guess that's everything I needed to report on this morning.
Thank you, sir.
I actually don't have anything other than, you know, for those of you who don't know, we have a 3-eyed monster on our door. Anyway,
Didn't realize that.
So happy Halloween. That's it.
Very nice facsimile.
It is.
Okay. Any public comment on anything that is not on the agenda for today? Oh,
We have an introduction.
yes, I would like, if you would mind, going ahead and introducing yourself.
Gene Leslie with SAR, and I'm here because of some dry rot issues.
You're gonna be here a while, then it's the last item.
So you are on our agenda today.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
See the agenda.
Yeah. And the agenda item was to approve the
We approved it,
contract.
we got retroactively.
Mitigated.
Okay, so I don't
You
need,
don't need to waste your time unless you like it to be here.
well, you know, I could go. I do find
You
it
got something real to do.
interesting, though. So what was the amount that you guys came up with?
1800.
How much?
1,800.
Oh, well,
That's
that's,
what
that's
the
just
bill-
for the mold guy
Yeah.
that didn't do anything.
Right.
Basically, that's a waste of money. I mean,
That-
you know, that's what we're doing. We're getting rid of mold. And then you guys come in on top of us and just doesn't even talk to me or anything, just comes in and starts working, you know, and it's like, I appreciate it. You know, the walls are cleaner, the mold is gone, which is not, you know, it's still behind the walls. The mold starts in the wall and it comes from there. You know, mold doesn't just start in the middle of the room and go out, you know.
Okay, so you want to
They-
stick around and explain this to us on the time then?
Well, I was just
Do it during public
whatever you
comment,
want. I mean, I'm saying to you
You can
that
wait.
that is not enough money. We need more money.
No.
We had $20,000 to fix the.
We understood that. That's another contract that has to do with actual work. That it was presented as the mold had to be gone before they could start.
Oh, so what are they gonna do? Because we have.
I don't know. I have nothing.
Well, we have a contractor on the job right now working. And this contractor is charging 3 times as much per hour. I mean, it's $100 to clean the 2x6 that we're ripping out anyway. I mean, that's why you should talk to the contractor on the job before you introduce another contractor. You know, that
So
way,
who, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Somebody was in charge over there.
that's me. That's why I'm here.
Okay, so somebody called and they made a
Luke,
critical thing and had to be decided right then. Cause they were there and wasting time because somebody was waiting for them to get the mold done. So that was the, what happened.
whatever the excuse was, you know, we
I
had a
don't know
meeting.
I don't know who was speaking for you, but that was who did it.
Hey, I appreciate whatever help that you guys can give to us. We have been, you know, we want to handle this ourselves without asking money from you guys. We have grants that are paying for this, but this is the bill that we're looking at, you know, repairing what we thought was wrong, but as you guys know, I'm sure you've opened up maybe some work at your own homes where it's always more.
Sure.
And this was like, the windows were not installed correctly. And we have like 13 windows. So that means every window leaks, every one. They were not done right. So you can imagine the building's what, I don't know, 20 years old or something like that. And it leaked probably from day one. So
It was good as getting fixed and that was.
it's
something
not,
that
we don't
you
have
guys
enough money
were
to
doing.
fix it, first of all. So.
May I interject here? Yeah, I went over and met with Gene. We looked at that stuff. Subsequent to that, after I left, apparently the mold person, and that was handled through Rich Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna go over and talk to
Yeah,
him, but it was already too late. you
yeah,
know,
so we-
let it ride.
I think Rich ended up reaching out to Commissioner Kanda, who gave the approval for that. It's on our agenda today to consider approving that expense of $1,800, which was just for the contractor. I forget the name, I've got it here. but-
1A1.
Yeah,
A1.
whatever. And I was a little frustrated about that too. I gave that some thought, and in this day and age and in our position, $1,800 is probably money well spent to get it certified that we did have that mitigated.
Right.
To me, that's the end of that whole thing.
Right.
I don't like it, but I think that's probably a smart business on our part. Bringing a contractor in the middle of you guys' work is certainly not ideal. I'm assuming your contractor was able to continue to work on the north half of the building, so I guess it wasn't a total waste of time and effort and money there, but we're going to discuss providing some additional funding for that project that you're in charge of, as you and I spoke about. I did talk with finance department, about the availability of some money to help with that project, so.
So is that on today's agenda?
It's not on the agenda. I was gonna bring it up in, commissioner items, and I failed to write it down. We could put it on for tomorrow's agenda.
Because,
Well,
well, I guess it's 9:30. I do.
yeah. What do you think, Braden? Is that something we could address tomorrow?
Yeah, I might have to have somebody here to speak on my behalf.
Okay. Yeah, or I can meet with you.
Probably ought to wait.
Yeah, we've started looking at it.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, the problem is they come in, they purify it, and we're not done ripping out. I mean, the mold is in the walls, and every time you open up something, spores go like this. And they're flying all over, and they're depositing their little spores all over. And I mean, it's mostly, it just affects sensitive groups, right? I mean, there was a person in our group that was having issues because she worked there, every day, all day. So we're in, we're out, it's not gonna affect us, but it's like a little nag, that you don't even realize is happening. That's how mold kind of, it's just, you don't even know it's happening. But, so the mold thing was kind of, I wish he would have met with us, because we're gonna be opening up more walls. We're gonna eliminate the problem and try to seal the building so it doesn't happen again. And, that $1,800 would have been really nice, just buying windows and sheetrock, right? And so,
Well, who
but I
called?
understand
You got, if somebody called him, I don't know how it happened,
Rich Smith called.
and why he
Yeah.
called him, I don't know, he could
Yeah.
have waited until, but anyway, that's just how it happened, so.
okay,
It needs to be dealt with, we can get it on the agenda, maybe tomorrow.
so are you gonna be able to, I'll just come back tomorrow so I can, if you guys have any questions about what the scope of work is, I can provide that. What I feel is necessary to kind of mitigate the problem.
It'd be good to have something somewhat specific,
Need the budget,
Scope
we
of
can
work
understand
and
how much it's
and
gonna
general
cost us.
figures.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, we're dumping 20 grand into the building right now. And
We need an estimate to complete it.
right, the problem is with dry rot work, it's hard to say, but right now, what we're looking at is we could spend another 20 grand on it, right? But I think that we should just handle the south wall that takes the beating, because like the windows that are around the corner don't show any problems. So we just leave them alone, we'll caulk them, and it'll be fine. We won't do any waterproofing really, except for that. But I think the south wall, could use a Tyvek on it. So the contractor asked him for a price. He said he would do it by the hour because of the unknown. I mean, you start to, oh, this wood's rotten, and this wood's rotten, or it's not rotten. So I would say we came up with 5,000 to 10,000 to seal the south wall, I think. So that's where we're at.
If you could bring that with you so that we have, or at least provide that information for us so that we
I can,
have something in front of us.
yeah, I could tell you only, verbally. I can have the contractor give me he didn't want to give an estimate,
Yeah.
So,
Kind of materials on it.
yeah, sign materials.
Well, we're not gonna make a decision now,
Right.
we're wasting time, we got big
Okay.
things.
So I will, I'll
We
come
can
back.
do it, we
tomorrow.
need to get it on so we can
I've
understand.
got it on for tomorrow. I'm gonna go post this change right now.
What did
Where-
you put, how did you?
I just
word
put
it?
consideration of funds for SAR remodel.
I'll see you tomorrow
Yeah,
at 9:30 or something.
Like it'd be closer to
Hey,
10:30.
hold on, no, I'll ask. Jennifer,
Yeah.
where'd that fall on the agenda? Thursday?
No, but I can move it.
Yeah, well, is that all right? We'll move it up.
That would be fine with me.
Okay, will do.
That way he didn't have to wait
Yeah.
for all of the,
The planning and zoning.
Yeah,
You want me to put it before reports?
No,
No, okay.
New business, probably tomorrow's our staff report. So we're probably looking at 10:30.
Good.
I come down, I have to meet him, I have to meet the contractor at 9:30 to discuss some training. And then I'll ask him again what he thinks, you know, his
Get
estimate.
an estimate and write it down so we can.
I'll have him just write something down with sand writing,
Sure.
and that'll, you know, just be like a short sentence probably.
Yeah, and I know he doesn't want to commit to anything, but he can at least tell you what his price per hour is.
Right, no, you know what I'll do is
Approximate number of hours.
he can do it tonight at home, and he can print something up for you that looks real good,
Yeah.
you know, because he has letterhead, and he has all that.
Mhm.
And he knows, he's been there for, you know, weeks now, so he has a pretty good idea.
He lives in Wetmore, correct?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think we sure as heck can't afford to gut the entire building.
No, I'm trying to minimize everything, but the thing is, you can't leave wood in there that's dry rot. Like you drive a screw in, it's just gonna turn, right? He's,
We get it.
so we're only doing what we have to do, you know, to make it so that when we put it back together, it doesn't leak. That's the thing. It's like, you don't want to do all this work and have it leak again. So we want to put it back together so it doesn't leak. That wall just gets hammered.
Yeah, and I think it's important for you to understand, because I know you're frustrated. We did not call that contract. Rich.
Oh, you know what? Actually, it did us a favor by having you guys, you know, we didn't want to come to you for money or anything. We were trying to handle it ourselves, but we might have eventually had to come here anyway. Who knows?
But keep trying.
Well, it's our building, it's our responsibility, so.
Oh, yeah,
appreciate
it's a health issue for sure.
Appreciate what you're doing, and Dr. Brown was over there, so. Did the mitigation people actually confirm that there was mold? Or was it
You could come
mildew?
down there, I could show you sheetrock has black mold on the backside of it. I mean, they kind of pissed me off. They told our guy to do the work, right, to cut out the sheetrock. And he cuts out the sheetrock and the mold's like this, and then he cuts it here and the mold keeps going. And the mitigator or the mold guy should say, okay, look, we haven't cut out enough sheetrock, we need to go further, but they didn't. And then I get in an argument with the guy
So
because.
maybe you didn't earn 18,000, but you don't have, we don't, you know, it's getting to do the finished job, but we got it, let's discuss it.
I don't know what you're saying, actually.
Well, somebody turned him loose and say you did $1,800 worth of work, and you showed him that the mold still existed. Why did he pay him? Did you get it checked?
This is the mold people.
I know it.
Yeah.
I get
I
it.
don't have nothing to do with them. I mean, I haven't even talked to them or
Rick's
anything.
trying to,
So
I'm just saying, if they're mold people, they should know that this
Well,
sheetrock needs to be cut
get
out
it.
more. So I'm just letting you know our frustration here at that end, but you brought it up. I wasn't gonna bring it up.
Okay.
well, thank you.
Yeah, all right. So tomorrow at 10:30 then.
Yeah, I would think,
Yeah, that's fine. I got time.
okay,
Thank you for your time.
yeah, you bet.
Okay,
I did get that posted on the website and on the bulletin board, so we will be in compliance with time.
right. Any unfinished business? I guess any other public comment I'll ask for. I don't see any hands raised. Okay, so
Hold on a second. When were you gonna talk about the credit card? You brought it up, Tom.
When Braden gives his
report.
report.
Is that what we'd sign?
All right. So no unfinished business? New business. We have consideration of the AP and the out of cycle check.
Morning, sir. I wouldn't recognize you long if I'd seen you in town.
Oh, yeah. Cleaning fish with that hand.
Well,
Or dollar bills.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we won't say laundering money or.
Yeah.
All right, so sent out, if I can find it, the out of cycle AP and payroll report.
Where would you like to start?
Let's go ahead and start out of cycle, I suppose.
Three pages, right?
Yeah, the 3 pages. Any questions?
And for me, I saw it last night, but I didn't see anything.
We did get the money to Kirkpatrick Bank, it looks like, for the veteran service. At 10,000. Paid it on halfway down. Let me make sure I'm on the right document.
That
Yeah,
would be
right
last
underneath
month.
Edward Page
It is.
and above the crane service.
You on that cycle?
Yeah, that's September. This one should be October 1 through 24. Yeah,
No, no.
you guys check the top of your page.
Yeah, this is through September. And see, I looked at
Yeah, we've got the wrong one there, Jennifer.
Oh, we did.
hard copy.
We're looking at September's
Oh,
out of cycle,
let me,
out of the board packet.
I sent that on the 26th.
on the
I
26th.
can go back to your email. We've got it on his email. Let me just pull it
Yeah, I
up
don't have
there.
a copy of it. October one at all.
Um,
This looked familiar.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a second. Chairman.
Yeah, I don't remember. So that was 1024. So that's the right one there.
It's like the payroll and like.
I probably grabbed the wrong email and I apologize.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'm just gonna see this real quick.
What day did you send it? Right?
The 26th.
Should be the 24th, isn't it? 26th. You said?
26 is what my date is.
Yep, I'm sorry, I'm gonna put it in your packets right now. I just grabbed the wrong email.
Yeah,
I
there's
heard you ask about diamond mowing. I couldn't
Yeah,
ever find it
yeah.
because I was looking on the wrong one. So, got it.
So out of cycle,
Yeah, it says it's a lawnmower blade kit and it's for.
and it's the grand total of
Just
14,000. That sounds right?
Are you sure? Cause I.
That's, we don't put in the description.
That's probably what they listed it as, the lawnmower
Yeah.
blade kit.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
And emergency services,
So-
and that request, he was at a grant. Do you know the specifics about that?
copy me.
That was, I'm sorry, which one?
Fund 70, Lopresti Ventures. It's like emergency services.
That would be DHS. Fund 70 is
Okay.
DHS.
Oh, it is?
Let's see what that.
Hmm. I don't have a problem with it, but I have a question, and I would move we accept the out of cycle report and pay for $14,928.40. We're discussing.
We'll go ahead and second that. And he's still looking at it. Answer Tom's question, and then you can ask yours.
Okay.
Yeah, I have emergency rental as a description.
Hmm.
And I'm not totally sure what that's speaking to. I can ask Laura on that.
Bill, what was that amount again?
14,928.40.
Yeah, that's all the information we have on that.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a quick question on format. Ray. You got invoices for a lot of stuff usually, but there are reimbursements also. And all it says is reimbursements, and there is an RE like regarding, it looks like, or request. I don't know how they enter it. It would be nice to know what that was. I think and I can kind of understand it, but it would beg the question, why a reimbursement? Why are they spending their own money or whatever? Maybe it's travel, whatever it is.
Sure.
I know Debbie Adams also put a request in for something reimbursement. Is that a tourism thing or is it something else that happened? I don't know. It's just a matter of info.
Yeah. Let me see on her specifically.
Hers is down on 6055 next to the bottom.
So it doesn't, it cuts it off, but it's a reimbursement for sticker giant purchase. That was a vendor. There was, for that specifically, there was an issue where that was over the credit limit for the card. And she made the purchase over the weekend and needed it.
Okay, so it was a card, so she paid for it personally?
So she ended up paying for it personally and getting reimbursed for it.
They do have a credit card,
They do.
tourism.
Well, you straighten up the limits on
Yes, yeah, and this is out of the normal for tourism, and we weren't aware of it beforehand as to what that price would be. So we worked it over with her and let her know that to let us know in those cases beforehand. That way we can make sure, or give us a call if it's not working, and we can make sure it runs through, because we can change the limits and apply in those cases.
Then speaking to two of the others that were to road and bridge super.
Brian Rice.
Byron Rice, and that R is for retirement. That was for the where we matched the road and bridge. And Vince picked that up when he was in town on his own, and that's why it's a reimbursement.
Yeah.
Half of that came out of road and bridge and half of that come out of our,
Community outreach.
I believe so, yes.
I'm good.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Those in favor of accepting the out of cycle checks in the sum of $14,928.40 signify by saying aye.
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 Just real quick on that reimbursement to Vince. It looks like that did come out of operating supplies. Would it be better to come out of community outreach?
Was it 250?
Yeah.
Probably should, really, I would think. I mean, we've got, what was it? We looked it up. It's like $1,500 left in that.
I think so.
Outreach,
Yeah.
so. I would say it's up to the chairman.
Six one way, half a dozen the other, probably. So,
Good, I guess. So you guys want to take it out of
Unless
outreach
it's a
or?
big hassle to do at this point.
Well, it would definitely be easier to leave it where
Let's
it's at.
leave it where it is.
I think
By
it fits
by
still.
acclamation, you have that. Okay. So No changes there then, so we have a motion on the floor to accept the out of cycle for $14,928.40. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We voted.
We did vote?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we
It's a good thing
accepted.
we didn't change it then.
We'd had to redo it.
Yeah,
Accounts payable report. 1022. Should be 60 pages long.
Yeah.
it was 60 pages.
Yeah. Well, I would move that we approve accounts payable for October in the amount of $421,999.19. We've got some questions that may change that, but maybe not.
I'll second it. I don't know. Lots of insurance payments here.
You said you had questions, sir?
You want to restate the motion?
Okay, I do have a motion on the floor to accept the accounts payable in the sum of $421,999.19. Discussion,
If I may, sir.
yes.
Let's see, general fund, the first posting of our audit. I forgot to write the page number down. Let me find it real quick. Page 21, I don't know why I didn't write that down. So you posted there, the payment for the audit.
1/3 of it.
Okay, then you just answered my question. So why that amount reflects 1/3?
Correct. Yep. The extra time and everything that was spent on it this year, that's what it came out to.
And so then on page 46, maybe I'm the only one that didn't get a grip on this, and I apologize if that's the case, but. So there's another third payment,
Mhm.
and then on page 50 is the final third payment, correct?
50.
No, not 50. How did I get that up? Oh, that was something
54.
totally different. I'm sorry. Page 54, yeah. And so a question,
Mhm.
how's come these three departments are tasked with paying that?
You're not gonna like the answer to this,
Okay,
because I don't like the answer to this.
okay. Well, we've not had this conversation really, have we?
No, because this is the way it's been posted in the past. It's
Yeah,
always
you're
been split.
exactly right on your first statement.
Yeah.
It just was carried over when you did the install of a new system, so you just put it in that way.
Well, and right, so for as far as we could find, this is how it was separated, is it was thirded out from general fund. And I think at least my understanding or trying to apply some logic to it is that being how much time it takes, amongst those departments. I would venture to guess that that's not true, that 1/3 of the time is spent on DHS, 1/3 of the time.
So they made it just even split.
Yeah,
Didn't they?
so I'm not sure as to how that was originally decided, but just how it has
Yeah,
been posted over the last.
and I just think it's very strange. It's a weird way to conduct business, in my opinion. The county as a whole contracts with Denardo and his company to do the audit, showing on the books that it's split three ways to me is bizarre.
He doesn't care how it's paid, does he? Look at the departments, doesn't matter.
Well, as far as I
It's
know,
our
it doesn't
issue.
matter to
Shouldn't
him.
matter to him.
Because he
Yeah.
gets paid the same regardless.
To me, it's a us thing.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter.
but I would agree that if we're splitting it three ways, to me, that says that a third of the time spent in each of those departments, which we would then say, well, emergency services, for
Right.
example,
Public
isn't
health.
in there at all.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So do you want to make a proposal to us and present it in a different budget meeting or what? You got that suggestion?
We could, this is the way it was budgeted for this year, so I would say for next year, which this is over budget for this year. Just because of the time that it took to do the audit this year,
The total one.
but the three places where it was budgeted was in these three departments.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and that's a conversation we should have had in October last year probably, but.
Didn't know.
Is this, I'll just throw this out there. Is this something that should just be budgeted as coming straight out of the general fund?
My county expense. Well, I look at it.
Expense of doing.
Come out of the
business
general
in the county. And it's gotta be done.
Yeah.
Not worry about splitting it up into different departments.
I think the strategy would be that, you know, we're restricted as far as the road and bridge money and our Department of Human Services, for example. So it being posted to their accounts, which I'm not saying that's the right way, it should only be theirs, but posting maybe what actually was done for each of those departments strategically would make sense because it's not tying up general fund money, which we
Right.
have more freedom to do things with.
Yeah, legitimate point there. I
You
mean,
can
to ask
reimburse it.
the auditors to say, okay, what percent of the time?
You can't go from one to the other. It'd have to come out of there. Out of that department. Because road and
So we
bridge is-
provide a service to them and they don't pay for it.
Right, unless we account for it this way.
Let's do that.
I would guess that was probably the motivator. to
Yeah.
do it. It's the rest off. It's just weird.
Yeah.
We'll keep a look at it and see if we come up with a different idea.
And I'd be happy to talk to them and see if they could give some sort of ballpark as to how much time maybe was spent in each fund.
Yeah,
Or
just what I
something
was
along those lines.
trying to say, I think it'd be a little strenuous for them to put a percentage of the time they spent on a given
Right.
Probably.
department, but
But
if
they're
those
pretty
departments
detailed.
are okay
too.
with it, why, maybe it's worth that. I would think it would help if we put on the notation of the page, it's 1/3 of the payments or something.
Sure.
I actually, when I went through this, I thought you inadvertently posted it to two other accounts, yeah, so.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
that's,
fair.
adds some clarity for me, thank you. So on page 32, these are questions that I just couldn't come up with by looking at the documents. True value hardware for 3,200. That's in public health.
Trailer,
True value in Penrose trailer.
trailer repair or something, I guess. That's about it. That would be repair on that trailer that they had. Perhaps.
Hmm,
I don't know, I didn't know anything was wrong with it, but
A pull inside of it. At one point, I think.
public health,
Old trailer sitting.
I don't know, I'm just asking,
I
County manager would be all over this. We don't have it. And when he's looking at today, I think I've got $5 in my pocket. You correctly identify the lure hanging off of his hat. I'll take it.
I can just see part of the trouble. I
You
can't
better
see
turn
the-
your head a little bit so he can get a good eye on that.
It'd be 5 of diamonds.
Yes, that irritates me. Now, I'll bet you that 5 if you can tell me where he bought it.
Can't do it.
I'll take my 5 back. General Tire in Saskatchewan.
Well, I'll tell you that
Don't
he
you make
didn't
a
buy
liar out of me.
it. He didn't buy it. Somebody else that's in this room bought it for him. So
Well, let me rephrase that. Where was it purchased? How's that?
that was it.
Oh, gosh, I just saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
figured you
that's
would say something if you saw it.
great. What year? Any idea that you went?
2009. Right around there.
Fishing trip to Canada.
Okay, what are we doing besides fishing now? What are you looking for?
Looking up the expense for True Value trailers, in public health for $3,200.
No.
Got 5 guns.
Well, no, but it could have been the red and yellow.
Understood.
You are. I'll give you that.
All right, according to the invoice, this is a Fiesta White 12 roller with fabric for 1,000 and some change. Fiesta White awning arm kit, 848 and some change. Aluminum sheet polar white, 96 inches, $200, and a white tire cover for $19.29.
So they put a canopy on it, sounds like.
Now, whether.
Awning needs fixed and repaired, vinyls peeling back on gate. New spare cover. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and there's some work there for replacing the aluminum sheeting on the side,
Hmm.
awning replacement, tire cover replacement.
Put it back in service.
Page 50.
Okay,
June, July, August, September.
For payment for our airport manager. This is something that I've brought up and I'm hoping to bring to the BOCC at some point. According to the auditors, the issue is we don't always get that, I guess, invoice for services in a timely manner. And so that causes this to bunch up sometimes. So that's the reason for the 4
Okay.
payments right there.
It'll be a long holiday to get it done.
And
Be
as
straight now.
as far as that goes, I've got a job description to the airport board for them to sign off on. According to the auditors, the Department of Labor would look at our airport manager not as contract, but as an employee of the county. And so that's something that we need to just make right in the books.
Mhm.
It really doesn't change anything. It would force this to happen every month, or not get, or he wouldn't get paid. Is kind of how that plays out. And so, that's in the works. And so that would be my suggestion, is I will be coming here asking to, I guess, create a part-time employee, but it would be just replacing what's already happening, just to make it correct.
We did part-time meeting contract labor.
Yeah.
That works.
Because it's not, he's just coming in and doing this thing for this temporary
Right.
period of time. He's
Month
always
after
doing
month
this.
after month.
So we need to get him on the books then.
Thank you for that. And then just one final clarifying comment or question. I noticed that we reimbursed Steve Laswell for mowing the Silver Cliff lots. I think we did not mow the Justice Center property this year, which we should have. I don't know if we want to talk to Road and Bridge, or we continue to contract that out, or whatever. That's just a discussion we need to have, because it's by the town's rules, those lots are supposed to be mowed under 8 inches, I think, or 12.
We mowed them the year before.
Yeah, I did, yeah. So, just one of those things I think fell through the cracks, but I don't think we can automatically assume Road and Bridge would mow them. It may be something we ask them if they have the capability. They could mow it in 20% of the time that I can mow it.
They got
I don't have a problem with Laswell doing that. I don't know if he just did it and billed us, or if we reached out to him or whatever, but I haven't talked to him about it. And I never thought about that until I saw the reimbursement for him. $250 is probably money well spent to get those mowed, but that's all responsibility one way or the other. So just a comment there.
From what I understand, I think what Charles had said, Charles Bogle, when he came in and submitted that, was that Steve had gotten somebody to do the work and then paid for it up front and then reimbursing him for that.
Doesn't mean he necessarily.
And it was only because I believe the town reached out and said, you need to get this.
Yeah, it's like $100 a day fine not to do it. So after you know, they took care of it.
What's our Justice Center lot look like at this time?
Well, it should have been loaded. Clearly, I'm
Does it-
surprised we didn't get a notification.
Can still be done.
Does it need it now?
I don't think they're overly concerned once the growth season ends, but,
Nobody, let us know.
So
there are a lot of rocks on that property. It's tough to mow. Sorry.
so we'd be looking forward to next year, not
Yeah, that's
necessarily
what
for
I'm thinking.
now to
Mhm.
take care of it. Okay. Anything else on the AP report?
Not for me.
Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor to accept the AP report in the sum of $421,999.19.
Thank goodness the amount didn't change.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would.
For those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, Jim, a question for Mr. Braden, if I may. Back to the credit card thing.
yes,
Yeah, as Commissioner Candid alluded to, I was also concerned about these reimbursements
Mhm.
versus why weren't they paid for with a credit card? One of my questions was tourism. I thought they had one. You answered that. How do we stand on those?
We're right now, Virginia, Kelly and I are using one to
Okay,
try to make sure we've got it all figured out. My hope at this point, I'm just being realistic. I don't think that'll probably start until next year for everybody in January, but that way we have a chance to figure it out, and we're making sure that the process is tuned in, and then we can get those cards distributed. We have the cards, they're ready to go. But it's just a matter of getting the process in place, and we're paying it, and the accounting and everything works with this new system. So we don't end up in any sort of situation like we were in the last system.
is it necessary for us to have a list of the credit card holders?
For you all,
Or not?
I think either way is fine with me. I have a list, if you guys want it. And we can discuss, and
Why
maybe
we need it,
that's
why would
even,
we need?
Well, I think to help answer some of these questions of why people are being reimbursed versus using a county credit card, well, we can continue to ask the questions or get a list and say, oh, okay, so-and-so doesn't have a county credit card.
can spur that
I
question.
don't
yeah.
know. Again, we're in that area of micromanaging and trying to know what the heck's going on in this county and not knowing and.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I guess in this case, where somebody had a card that didn't work, we had already addressed the issue there. So I would leave it up to you guys if you don't feel like that's being addressed. Otherwise, it might come to the point where, for example, say Vince didn't have one, which right now they have access to one, they don't necessarily have one. That I would then either of my own accord, I guess, say, well, Vince is doing this enough that we probably should get him a card or bring it here. So if you guys
Yeah,
are fine
and
with
I-
it being here, then
I'm not professing we micromanage it by any means.
Yeah.
It's just, I keep coming up with these questions every month, and I didn't realize that they didn't have them.
mhm,
I thought they were already distributed, so.
Yeah.
That answers a bunch of those questions.
So then, given that, then y'all let us know whenever the program's in place.
yes,
And who's got them, and it just, you know, it doesn't matter who, it's just. That they've been distributed to the right people, and if somebody comes out of the wood later on, evening, we can work it.
I'll do that.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
You bet. Yeah, my 2 cents on it, I guess. Guess we can keep asking the question. I don't really care to have a list myself personally of who all has them. As long as you're on top of it. But it does bring up.
Yeah,
questions.
and that's where I
will
shake
give you
out. Delegation of authority and responsibility, and I'm fine with that.
Anything else?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll find next up right now.
We have consideration of public health.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see him here. He has to be on the agenda.
Okay, well, I would
You want me to give him a call?
request a short break.
Let's take a break and find out where he is and put him at the end if he's getting, if he's in the middle of something urgent.
Okay.
Move it.
You can call.
Oh, Drew's calling. Hello, this is Jennifer.
We will take a short recess.
Good. I
Yeah,
was
let's take.
fixing to call you to say you're on the agenda. And when are you still going to come over? Okay. For Board of Health, but you asked to be on the commissioner's agenda today. So do you want to come over here in just a little bit and we can put you at the end?
When he's prepared, maybe he's not prepared,
Well,
whatever.
yes.
I did recess, Tom, if you need to.
Did you recess or are we off here?
I believe we're still on the air, but we're recessed.
Well, it is not a problem. We'll see you at the Board of Health meeting, and then if we need to put it on a different agenda, we will. Yes. Okay? Not a problem. Oh, okay. Very good. Hey, I understand. Not a problem. All right. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye. Are we on a break?
We are on break.
We are unmuted and we have video on. I do want to ask one thing. We have Janet, before we go in with
He's
the,
tired.
with the talk of the vacation days, can we just approve this? Can we look at the letter? To go first before them. It'll take 2 seconds for you to look at. It's just the appointment for library.
Maybe you could do that
Yeah.
as soon as I reconvene the meeting here. The time is now 10:16 a.m. and I will reconvene this meeting of the Board of County Commissioners.
And Mr. Chairman, I would move that we delete consideration of the public health increases and insert the reappointments to the library board of item B under new business.
I would second that motion. Any discussion on that?
I like the idea.
Sounds good. Those in favor of deleting the consideration of public health pay increases and moving item F to item B on the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so Janet, you are up.
Okay. Welcome. Thank you for being patient with us.
Thanks.
Morning, gentlemen.
So you have a letter for 3 of our trustees who would like to be reappointed for 3-year terms beginning January 1st, 2023, running till the end of the year that's December 31st of 2025, 3-year terms apiece. So that would be Terry Matthews, who would like to remain president, Claudia Cole as vice president, and Amy Bauer as treasurer. All 3 of them have been excellent trustees. They work really hard on behalf of the library. And then we had one trustee resign. He took a new job he had to be closer to Colorado Springs. So we put out notice, we interviewed and chose Shelley Larson to be our new trustee. She's got a lot of background in both promotions and fundraising. So we're really excited to have her on board. So we're asking for your ratification of these 4 people and Shelley's term would run from, what did I say in there? I think it's from the 1st of January until the end of next year because she's filling in somebody's term. Yeah. So
Who's she replacing?
Christopher
Christopher
Esty.
Esty.
I'm gonna fix that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
She's filling his term, so she's in for a year and then we'll be back to ask for another ratification. Not really.
We don't have to approve the letter. We're approving the appointment of the proposal that you've got here. So I so move that we
It's to ratify. They've already been
ratify,
appointed.
ratify the appointments as you presented. And the replacement of the trustee.
I would second that motion. So I did have a motion on the, or any further discussion on that?
Just thank you for bringing that to us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for moving me up on the agenda.
No, you're welcome.
You change the date. If you're gonna have a letter, or is this the letter?
No, that was what she gave, and I
Okay.
have a letter for Kevin. Is
Yeah,
that
you have-
cool?
Do we need a letter?
You read the
Oh.
whole letter.
Yeah,
No,
Okay,
we just do it.
just ratify it. Okay.
All right. So I do have a motion on the floor. I have not seen any hands raised online. Any discussion here in the room?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor to ratify the 3 appointments for the library district and also for Shelley Larson to fill in the rest of Etsy's term. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. So,
Thank you, gentlemen.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for your
for-
support of the library. Appreciate it.
thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Thank you. all of you.
given that Clint's gotta leave, is there anything here that we need to do before he leaves?
You have till 11:30?
Yeah, I don't see anything on here that's gonna require my thank you. My involvement, but I'm happy to sit here and listen to you guys until 11:30.
All right. We'll even try to be.
You know, I
done.
did want to add one thing to attorney's items, just because talking about me representing Kelly, I think a lot of people don't understand. I just work on a flat amount per month. I do not bill by the hour, and the reason I'm saying that is because I've seen some exchanges among county attorneys as to what the ones that are working per hour, and seems like about $250 an hour is what the going rate is. And I wanted to say I put in quite a bit of time working on the response for Kelly, but that's all part of my fixed monthly amount as an independent contractor. So, you know, people accuse me of, you know, billing the county for all sorts of things, and I don't. I just, whatever needs to be done, I do it as for the amount that we've agreed on each year.
I think I heard it was bilking, not billing.
But well, billing and billing, when you're talking about lawyers, it's the same thing.
All right. So noted, sir. All right, next item up would be the consideration of the scheduled county holidays that land on Friday with the county, now that we have went to a 4-day work week. I guess I'll speak a little bit to that. I had visited with Jennifer and basically just had her go to move things just like they had them scheduled at Road and Bridge, because they have been on a 4-day work week for some time now. And I guess that has raised some concerns in some of our departments. And so that's why we are having this discussion here today. So I don't know who would like to speak to that. I see multiple faces in the room. So I will throw it out there and you guys can draw the straws and see who's going to speak to that first.
Point of clarification, if I may, Mr. Chair,
Sir,
are we talking about 2023 calendar year plus maybe one date in 2022?
I believe this is in regards to finishing out this year, because we haven't even addressed holidays for next year yet. So
That's, yeah, I would say that's correct. We're talking about
that was my
the end of
assumption.
this year for sure.
So that can be part of our conversation as to how many times it actually affects us this year. So
Who's the guinea pig?
Here, I'm going to at least tell you what days you're talking about. You're talking about Veterans Day, November the 11th, which falls on a Friday. The day after Thanksgiving, Friday, November 25th. The Christmas holiday, Friday, December 23rd. And New Year's Eve, Friday, December 30th. Those were the holidays that were approved on the 2022 calendar that landed on Fridays.
Okay. So you were going to speak.
Sure, I'll jump in. So the Veterans Day is correct, because Veterans Day actually lands on Friday. We're off on Friday, so we get Thursday. The Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's holidays, me personally, I have a problem with. I'll use Thanksgiving as an example. Thanksgiving lands on Thursday. You guys have always given us Friday as an extra day, which is much appreciated. I don't feel like we should take Wednesday, because then we're only gonna be open for 2 days, and I think we're gonna hear about that from the public. And
I don't think that that they're missing out on anything. They're still gonna get Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And as far as Christmas, what day does Christmas land on? Is it Saturday?
Falls on Sunday.
Sunday.
So, I think you guys, for this year, you gave us Friday for Christmas Eve, and you gave us or Monday, because wasn't that originally what it was? We had Monday or Friday and Monday. So if you give us an extra, if you give us Thursday, I just think that's not right.
And,
I think it should just stay the same as it was.
and Kelly, Braden, and Laura, correct me, Virginia, correct me if I'm wrong. We had a meeting to discuss going forward. And we talked about if the holiday falls on Monday through Thursday, you get that day off. If it falls on Friday, you would take Thursday off. If it falls on Sunday, we take Monday. If it falls on Saturday, too bad. We're already getting a 3-day weekend. And we did discuss Thanksgiving. And that extra day, I don't know, I'm like Kelly, we're only open. I think we're gonna cause problems with the public if we're only open 2 days. We already get Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I talked with my staff, they were fine with that. They all agreed that, yeah, it probably wouldn't be a great idea to take Wednesday off for that. Or for the others, like Christmas being on a Sunday, just give us the Monday off. We already have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We don't need the Thursday or whatever off. So I don't know how anybody else feels, but I talked to my staff, that's how they felt. And yeah, you're kind of giving up the day after Thanksgiving, but not really, because we give it off anyhow. And with them being 10-hour days now, the other holiday, they were expecting 8 hours. Well, the other holidays getting days off, you get 2 extra hours or more than makes up for it. So I don't know how anybody else feels, but that's kind of what my office discussed. I think it's similar to what we discussed. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd say my recollection was Saturday could go either way.
Yeah.
And then in these cases, which really it comes down to Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's when we have two that are built next to each other.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the question.
Well, and I
I think-
think, sorry.
I'll get to you in a second.
When the holiday falls on Saturday and it comes up, we already have Friday off. I think technically if it's a federal holiday, we have to take that Thursday.
Okay.
Oh, do we? Oh,
I
Okay.
think so.
Well,
so that's what you're
But
saying.
at any rate,
So you're saying.
You're saying-
like
Christmas is
on like that Sunday.
Sunday, so we get Monday.
yeah.
And so like what you said about Veterans Day, since it's on
On
Friday,
Friday,
we're gonna
we
get
get
Thursday
Thursday.
off.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm with Braden. I think the issue is Thanksgiving and then anytime a holiday falls on a Friday more than anything.
And,
Like
and
Christmas.
some of us are just, our offices are so busy that if we're only open like for Thanksgiving, we're just open Monday and Tuesday. Oh my gosh,
We're gonna get killed.
we're gonna get killed. We're gonna get killed
Yeah.
the following week. And we just, for us, we only, this office, this building, they'll only be open 2 days a week. I think it's just crazy. I just don't think it's right. And all of my employees agree, they just don't think that we should be closed that.
Yeah, and I asked my employees and they agreed too. I don't know how you guys talk to yours, Virginia and Kelly, but
Yeah, I did mine. I think one of the things that I was hearing was that the hourly employees were gonna be upset because like Road and Bridge. And in the past, that is how we did Road and Bridge, but now we're all on the same schedule. And so,
And I,
I was gonna say, I don't care about Road and Bridge. If they want to take it off, let them take it off. But I don't know. That's just me personally.
Where they've already had their. stuff.
Yeah, they're different. They don't have the public coming.
and I have said that before, like, Road and Bridge, if they're off, okay, nobody's gonna really notice that Road and Bridge isn't out plowing this road. If it snows, they're gonna go out because that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not like you're trying, people aren't walking in trying to do something down there. They go out, they grade, whatever they do. But here, it's very noticeable when we're not open. And I think it's just gonna cause a problem. What you wanna do with Road and Bridge, if you wanna put them on the same schedule as us, but that's fine, or whatever. But I just don't think we can be on the same schedule as Road and Bridge sometimes, is what I'm trying to say.
I would agree. Yeah, they had their own schedule already. But I'll let, Tom's been trying to say something here, I believe.
Thank you, sir. First of all, yeah, I thought it was a little risky to try to compare road and bridge to us. To me, it's two completely different conversations, so that's one of the concerns I had early on. Secondly, a concern I have is I understand what you're saying about eventually maybe being only open 2 days. That's part of the price we pay when we move to a 4-day week, whether we like it or not. Could be part of the price we pay. A concern for me would be that if you don't take the day off before a holiday, then you've absolutely done away with people's opportunity to travel anywhere for that holiday. The day before Thanksgiving, for an example, if we were closed on Wednesday, then on the 23rd, people could travel and be at their destination to celebrate Thanksgiving if that's what they chose to do. If we don't honor the 23rd as a holiday, then they're not going to have that opportunity.
Yeah, but we don't, they don't have it now.
Before.
They've never had it before. We've been
Because we've
closed
never
Thursday
been
and
open
Friday.
on, we've never been closed on Wednesday.
Ooh.
We've been
So,
closed Thursday and Friday.
yeah,
We gave,
Well-
we gave them Friday to be able to stay where they're, so they had a
Yeah.
long weekend.
If
We have the
somebody
long
wanted to travel before, they just took the
Yeah,
day
took
off.
the day
They
off.
took personal time off, and they had to make sure it was okay with their department head, that they were adequately staffed, yeah.
So you're proposing that what day would they get off for Thanksgiving?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Just Thursday, which is a national holiday. That's not part of the
Right.
conversation, really. That's automatic.
Right,
So
exactly,
that's it. They just get that day off
right,
done.
because they already get Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
and you know, in my office, we talked about a little bit that, okay, so then if somebody wanted to take a day off some other time, maybe they could, and we just wouldn't do it as a vacation day. You see what I'm saying? To make up for that?
Yeah, floating holiday.
Yeah, something, yes, a floating holiday, but we just don't think that we should be closed on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And whatever other
Or
days.
the
that
Wednesday, yeah, the Wednesday before
Whatever other
Christmas,
day.
whatever.
Because that's just, the building's only gonna be open 2 days.
I think that's the one, I think that's the one in question, and I think the spirit of having Friday off before was to have that travel time, that way you weren't coming in on Thursday, coming back on a Friday, or nobody comes in on a Friday anyway, so like in that situation, so why are we doing it? Now that's built into the 4-day week, so that's something I know I would be in favor of. I think the Christmas conversation, in that case, it would be 3 days, it'd be 2 consecutive it'd be 3 consecutive weeks, 3-day weeks. Which I don't know, I guess I would be in favor of that still staying that way, because that's still getting the holidays with the spirit of what it was. You know, it's not to help somebody travel necessarily, it's because those are the holidays that we agreed to have.
So you're proposing the 26th would then be the Christmas holiday, day after the Monday.
Right. And New Year's Day would be the first,
And what day of the week is that?
or the second.
Yeah, so that makes just a second.
My apologies.
No, no problem. So the day after New Year's,
Yeah, the day after Christmas, the day after New Year's,
Right.
and then we lose the day before Thanksgiving.
And what about,
Christmas Eve is also a holiday that we observe. is that
Yes,
right?
but that's on a Saturday this year.
So-
Well, and
But
that's-
you had it on the calendar for, Friday, the 23rd as it being off.
Right,
So,
so I could see having that Thursday off, and then it gets rid of the 2-day week situation. So that you've got that Thursday off, you've got the following Monday off, and then the following Monday off. So there would be 3 consecutive weeks of 3-day week.
At least we wouldn't have a 2-day week.
Right, and I think that's, just speaking, I guess, on the HR side, I think that's a nice benefit to say that we have 5 days off for a Christmas break, but we still have those services that we're providing. I think, you know, the public's used to have to those, not used to, maybe it's not the right word yet, but are getting used to when we do have a holiday, it is a 3-day. So I don't think that's unreasonable. Maybe to ask that.
So November the 10th then would become the holiday for Veterans Day.
Correct.
And then, November,
24 or something.
November the holiday around Thanksgiving, obviously Thanksgiving Day,
No, I think that's all we're saying.
nothing, so just Thanksgiving Day,
And we
so
would
nothing.
remove Friday after Thanksgiving as a holiday that we observe for the county. 'Cause that would be standing every year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That would be every
Yeah.
year.
It's there every year. We get Thursday and Friday off. Yeah. Is that what we're saying?
You're saying the day after Thanksgiving,
Which we have as that being a title as a holiday.
correct?
So we would remove
We would
that
remove
being a
that
county holiday from here on out.
and just Thanksgiving Day.
Okay, so the day,
We're off on Friday.
Yeah, because we're already on.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. You're just not, okay.
It's not a holiday.
so we,
So it doesn't say Thanksgiving the day after, this is Thanksgiving.
I got you. Thank you. Thank
so
you.
we would eventually here, we're gonna probably have a motion to deal with this. We're gonna change Friday, November 11th back to November the 10th for Veterans Day, correct?
Right.
And then the day before Thanksgiving, we're gonna delete that.
Yes.
Yes,
Well, you don't have to delete it because
Because it
it's
wasn't,
not there.
it's on the calendar that
Yes,
way because.
We've already adopted this, so we gotta
No.
change this.
No,
It was never adopted.
it was,
The calendar was.
okay, wait, back up. So whenever, I was talking to Kevin and Braden, said to move things that were on holidays that were landed on Friday to the day before. So what we did was on the calendar, on the public calendar, I moved those because it was their understanding that that was something that was approved whenever it went to a 4-day work week. Now, it is my understanding that that was done a little bit prematurely and that now we need to approve from you all not the removal of the Wednesday. I'm going to actually take it off right now. You need to remove the day after Thanksgiving as a holiday. Does that make sense?
No, because we have the day before Thanksgiving as a holiday.
No, we didn't.
We don't.
No.
I moved that
Well,
and
it doesn't matter what you did. I'm telling about what we have as a holiday calendar for us.
It wasn't on the
It-
holiday.
it's not on the
That's,
calendar.
you're looking at something I have already altered with the oversight of my bosses. And so here, I'm getting rid of,
Specifically, I know I told her I was involved in that, so.
Yeah, because we
In
did,
January, the 23rd was not approved.
no, it was not. And,
Okay,
and I have it, I have a calendar, I mean, I have the holiday thing in my office.
And I have
It's not on it.
well, we did approve a calendar.
Yeah, correct.
I said we didn't. You said
Before
we
the
didn't
four,
approve that.
before the
date.
4-day week, we approved the calendar.
That day, yes, that day, yes, Tom, I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
yes, yes, gotcha.
Okay, so
So
there'll be
November-
no holiday vacation days around Thanksgiving except for Thanksgiving.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, we-
And then Christmas will be, the vacation day will be the Monday after Christmas. Is that correct?
For Christmas Day, yes.
But
I think
Christmas,
we're just leaving
Chris-
Christmas the way we. had
Christmas
talked
falls on a
about it.
Sunday, we're gonna take Monday, the 26th as a vacation.
well, I thought Braden said we would have the Christmas Eve moved to the 22nd.
I don't remember where that was on the, what was proposed with the 4-day. That would be my proposal, is that Christmas Eve would be observed on Thursday. Moving that Saturday to the Thursday.
Vacation around Christmas Eve on what day?
The 22nd. So Christmas Eve would be observed on the 22nd. Christmas Day would be observed on the 26th.
So there would still be 2 days there.
But not in the same week.
New Year's would go to the 22nd, huh?
New Year's would go to the second.
Sorry, 22nd.
Yeah, January 2nd.
The 22nd is also the same.
And there's no need for New Year's Eve because it breaks back on the weekend.
We only have New Year's Day.
Yeah, we don't get New Year's Eve anyhow, just New Year's.
And so we would be open on the 22nd of December. And be closed on the 26th.
I think you said close on the 22nd. Yeah, the-
So nobody has a proposal other than the discussion we got here so far.
Yeah.
So I'll give you my 2 cents if you want to hear it. We are county employees, people that are hourly, people that are on salaries. We're paid to do X hours a year, 8 hours a day, whatever it was, and if you count up the hours. So we're obligated to give the public those hours, period. So moving them around, you want to keep that in mind. And so if people are expecting, they've all accepted the 4-day week, and so they're 10 hours. The holiday falls on that day, it's an 8-hour holiday normally, and there's 2 hours of hanging out for the public that could have been in doing something. The whole purpose you sold us was people be able to come in early, they can get their stuff done because they can't get there at noon or later. And I don't know if that's been happening. I don't know, but it's really the deal, because I've looked at this sort of experimental still in my mind. Make sure we're giving the public exactly what they're paying us to. So if it falls, like you said, it falls on a weekend, which is a day off, then too bad, you know, that's a holiday, and you can make, and if there is that's what we do today. I mean, if Christmas fell on the weekend, we gave them a day after the holiday. So let's do the same thing. And avoid a 3-day week at all costs if we can. 2-day for sure. Because so if you look at what was the first goofy thing, that was on Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
So why would we even fool with it? We give the 24th and 25th, like we always do,
That's what we're saying.
right? Leave it alone. And then, because then the public ain't gonna be in here on the 25th anyway. They're all off on holidays. Our kids are out of school, whatever. And so that's not jacking with the public's hours with us at all. And then on the what is it, Christmas we were arguing about. Christmas falls on Christmas Day, and so we're gonna give either the day before, which is what we've been doing, or the day after. So if you give it the day after, like I think the discussion was the 26th, right? Then you got 4 days of work. Gives there, if you give back Friday, or you decide to give the full 4 days in that week and take a different day off on Monday, maybe the Monday of New Year's. That puts a 4-day week into the next week, or a 3-day week. Is that what you're proposing? Does that make sense?
I got lost.
So
Well,
right
well,
now,
I got lost.
right now, you're gonna, if Christmas Day is on Saturday,
this day on Sunday.
Christmas Day.
or Sunday, I mean, I'm looking at Sunday. It's on Sunday. And normally we would do what?
It would take Monday,
Monday off, right? And everybody's expecting that.
right, and that's what we said.
All right.
Yeah.
And then that leaves a 3-day week. Right?
Yeah,
And we've had that before.
Same thing on the other one. So you do the same exact thing on the following. But we're not, let's see, now so that we haven't done anything to with the public's hours at all. So it makes sense.
that's pretty much what we just
Yeah.
proposed.
So for you.
I think
And it,
pretty simply, my suggestion would be that the proposal would be to remove the day after Thanksgiving as a county observed holiday, quote unquote. And then every other holiday is observed in a way that it never becomes a 2-day week.
well, but you're not proposing anybody comes in here on the 25th.
No.
Right, so it's just a day off, normal day off. Because it's on a 4-day week.
Well, for Thanksgiving,
We're not calling it a county holiday, it's just,
we do call it a county.
no, I know we do that,
That's-
but I'm just
That's why
saying,
we need to.
That's what he's saying, we
remove
need to not call the day after Thanksgiving a holiday.
right,
So I've
And
got
we observe the rest of them. Just as simple as.
Yeah,
Veterans Day. I'm talking about the county holiday here, not the day itself. The holiday for veterans would be November the 10th. New Year's Eve, part of the Christmas holiday would be Friday, December the 22nd. Sorry, it's not Friday, sorry, pardon,
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah,
And that's Christmas Eve, like, are you saying New Year's Eve?
Christmas.
Christmas Eve.
Thursday, December 22nd, and then Monday, December 26th for the Christmas holiday, and then Monday, January 2nd for the New Year's Eve holiday.
New Year's Day holiday.
Yeah, so on our initial calendar, I think we had a New Year's Eve, and that would go away.
That would go,
yeah.
and we're all fine with that going.
but I do have a little bit of a problem still with the 10th, because, the holidays, right, that's just like a
But
Saturday.
that's a federal holiday.
I know.
You have to take the day before, if it lands on a day off, you have to take the day before the day after. You
That's
can-
in law somewhere.
Mhm.
So we're giving up one holiday this year.
Yeah, we're actually losing a day.
So we're actually taking 2 more hours out of public because of that.
Well-
A 10-hour day is traded for an 8-hour day.
So it ends up being pretty close to a wash, because they're getting 6 hours because of the extra 2 hours on these days. But they're giving up one day that was scheduled initially,
Right.
so
We're giving
basically,
up that 8 hours.
so the county comes out 2 to 4 hours ahead.
2 hours, what I said.
Yeah. Because we are taking away the New Year's Eve. So that's 10 hours to go back to into the pot, and then the 2 hours extra they're getting on these other holidays, so it comes out to be pretty much a wash.
What do you think?
That was our
Virginia?
thinking.
What do you think?
Oh, yep, sounds right, spot on.
That was our thinking. It's pretty much a wash, and we don't have any 2-day
2
weeks.
days.
Yeah,
And I
That's
apologize
not
for
right.
that, because I didn't realize I was creating an issue when I told Jennifer just to do that, to move the days of a day ahead. So my apologies to everyone for that.
So I would move that we set Thursday, November the 10th as a county holiday. Thursday, December 22nd, Monday, December 26th, and Monday, January 2nd for those appropriate holidays.
Was that Thursday, November 24th?
4th, did I say the 6th?
You said the 22nd.
No, he
20.
said December.
He said December.
And the 24th is already set.
yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we deleted it in there.
Right, so you don't need to set that one.
Okay, so I'm sorry for interrupting.
Okay, no, I was
Do you
just
need to
trying to.
add,
clarify.
remove the Friday, November 25th as a
county holiday?
No, not if the motion passes to assign these as a holiday.
So your motion was to make November tenth.
Yep.
The Veterans Holiday. December 22nd and 26th for Christmas Eve and Christmas. And January 2nd for New Year's. I would second that.
And that's to change the 2022 calendar to reflect those.
So I have a quick question then, if we're in discussion.
We are in discussion.
So, does federal law, Kelly, say you have to do it the day before? Why can't we do it on that Monday?
It
the 14th?
depends, if it lands on a Saturday, it's gotta be the day before. If it lands on a Sunday, it's gotta be the day after.
Well, this is not landing on anything. It's just a federal holiday on the 11th.
It's landing on the 11th, which we have off, so you go the day before. Because you wouldn't want to go.
Does it say
Monday.
you have to do it the day before? Because you could still declare Monday the day off. In other words, I'm looking for a 4-day week, but we're not gonna get it either way.
No, you're not.
We're gonna have a
No, you're
3-day
not
week
gaining-
anyway,
You're not gaining. anything
because
by
the next week is a 3-day week if we do it to Monday.
Right, right. We're not gaining anything by doing it.
Any other discussion? Anything from the room?
The only thing I would request that we have an approval date on this document, so we know. And we do, and no disrespect, I get what you just said about you apologize to the group, and I appreciate that, except for your policy, but we just can't be moving these dates around just because, right? These are commissioner set dates. So that's why I'd like to have a date line on there, so we know when it was approved, and because I misunderstood you. I thought you said our entire calendar had not been
Yeah,
approved.
no.
You were just talking about April. That would be my only suggestion there. Thank you guys for fleshing that all out.
So this was the first glitch since we went forward for that.
Well, yeah, it came up, you know.
Never
I
got
think, I
resolved.
think my office kind of started it because I had an employee that was, you know, she said, okay, we're gonna get Thursday off. I mean, you know, Thursday and Friday off, or we're gonna get Wednesday off or whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. And she needed to know because of a work thing. So that's what we were trying to figure out. And they're asking me and I said, I don't think we really ever said anything, you know, really said it out. And so we need to talk to the commissioners about how we're gonna do that. And then it came back that they were gonna take that Wednesday off and it's like, no, I don't think that's a good plan.
Yeah, because going along with what Bill said, we're like, yeah, 2-day week is not a good.
No, we are not, and we are
So we,
here, us in landfill. People try to go to these places, this building in landfill, not me personally, but that's where people try to go. And so you gotta be mindful of that. And all of the employees are on board with that, they understand that, and they agree to that.
So what are the rest of the county employees? There's more than the courthouse here.
When you say all of your employees, you're only talking about 3 departments here, right? Especially when the rest of them find out we're
1,
dropping,
2,
oh,
3,
sorry,
4, 5.
yeah, we're dropping a holiday off of the rest of the, off of the calendar for the rest of the county employees that aren't represented here.
Right, well, we've got 5 that are represented, but yeah,
And
I am, like I
landfill,
said, I'm not
public
saying
health.
road and bridge.
I'm not, well, I'm not.
Um,
I'm not talking about road and bridge, I'm talking about landfill, OEM, public health.
They were not,
I don't know what landfill does when it falls on a Friday.
You know, we're gonna tell them what they're gonna do.
well,
Yeah, but the landfill's still gonna be open on Saturday.
if I may, the landfill was excluded from our 4-day work week.
Yes,
OEM, it was decided he works his own hours anyway, so he was
Public
excluded
health was gonna
for
do
that.
it.
And public health, I think, was setting their own schedule. Our 4-day work week that we voted on was for the county building.
this county building. That was my understanding of it.
Because sheriff's office and road and bridge
Sure.
were already on a 4-day, their own 4 days.
Public health was included, they're not,
Cause
they're
they were,
working 5.
cause they
5
get
days.
called at 5, dude.
They do clinics on Saturday.
Well, that being said, then representation is here for this building.
Yes, I don't get, Dorothy's not here, but everybody else,
IT and,
yeah, I can.
well, majority, most likely rule anyway.
Dorothy's pretty critical, but the contractor lives at stake here. You know, we
Well,
have to
exactly.
know.
I don't think contractors would be too happy to have Wednesday before things, you know, have that building closed.
That's right.
Or that
Oh,
office closed, yeah. I don't think they're gonna like that.
Yeah, we're actually coming proposing losing time.
Yes, we are. We are
And
coming.
most of the employees are fine with it. I don't know.
We are
They all
coming
do have-
after over that, yeah,
The vast majority are fine.
for this building.
And or I would suggest for anybody that's on the 4-day system, that it makes sense for those. For anybody that's on the 4-day system to be on the same schedule. Public health is something that totally slip by landfill, we can just kind of on their own. but-
Yes, and Brian said that, we just can't do that. That would be closed, they would be closed tomorrow.
But if
Okay.
you're working 8 hours, then I think that's, then that becomes someplace where the road and bridge has enough on it, so they don't do it as well. Whereas if it's anybody that's on the 8-hour or a 8-hour day work week, sheriff's office, landfill, road, public health, they would keep, I guess, that day after Thanksgiving holiday. Because the way that works currently for the sheriff's office is if they work that day, doesn't matter whether they work that day or not, they get paid 8 hours for that day. So that's how that works in the sheriff's office. And that's the benefit, is if they work that day, not only did they work the hours for that day, but they also got another 8 hours on top. So I think to take that particular day away from them would truly be a detriment to them, yes. Same with public health and landfill. And I'm not sure how landfills work to pass Thanksgiving, if they've taken Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or if they're come back in on Saturday. It's good, it's cheap to that.
I don't,
I think they've taken the whole,
We can have this conversation with them today and Tuesday and Wednesday, get some clarification.
yeah, because I'm not sure what they.
We're having a board of health meeting.
pretty sure they took the time off.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And I believe,
'Cause I tried to. hit
like
the
the
time.
landfill, have been on their own schedule because they work Saturdays anyway and are closed Mondays. And then Road and Bridge has the schedule that they set at the beginning of the year after we give ours, and they've made adjustments historically. But I think moving it forward now, when we go next year, we are all on that 4-day schedules. So Road and Bridge could be tied in with our calendar exactly how we set it up. So those that are on that 4-day week, our calendar that we set up wouldn't be all inclusive. Whereas in the past, it's been modified to meet those departments' schedule. So I think like landfill, how they've had theirs scheduled already, would probably, we could have that conversation, but I think that would suffice through this year. And then we would start over fresh when we make our 23 calendar.
So technically, this is a Custer County building holiday schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to put that. Yes.
Doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the county.
Okay, given that, I would also propose, and the PIO needs to put out the notice to everybody, because everybody, the public needs to know when they're gonna be off, period. Including the dump and, or the landfill and the other, every area of the county, so that they don't think they're on everything else, so make sure it's public. And I call the question.
Okay, question has been called. So those in favor?
Would you like me to read those dates?
November 10th. Designating November 10th. December 22nd and 26th and January 2nd. For the holidays schedule moving forward throughout this year
For the courthouse building.
for the courthouse building. Signify by saying aye. Aye.
And then I think we need to have the same conversation with public health, landfill, OEM. We gotta have it on paper. You can't just say, yeah, you just do your own thing. That doesn't work.
I think so.
Especially for next year, because
Yes.
in the policy, we
Yeah,
have
for-
our holidays
yes,
listed,
for-
and that's where, that's why I say that.
On the
The day
thing.
after Thanksgiving is listed. as a county holiday. So
Thank you, David.
Courts, PA, judge, all that.
Not a
Make sure
problem.
those are-
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah, and I was speaking to that when we made that initial 4-day decision that was discussed and we working John over that.
Yes, well,
We didn't have it in black and white. Next item, discussion of community resources for early childhood development. You are up.
There she is.
Brought my colleague. Happy Halloween.
How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Seen you for a
I
little while.
know.
Guys, is it cold out there? Your hands are.
Oh,
frozen.
no.
How are you? I'm Flower.
I'm Lori.
Lori, nice to meet you.
Sorry, I'm Kevin.
Have a nice
Oh,
meet you.
I met you at one of the meetings and
I
then I
think so.
will come and, Stacy made me mad or something.
I'm sure I did. This is Lori Arger. She is our community engagement coordinator with the council. Those of you that maybe remember Anna Powell, she was kind of working with the council last year. Lori, I don't want to say she took her place, but Anna moved and Lori is now working with us. So, and I gave you guys have a lot of packet information and.
A lot. 70
Well,
some pages.
I know, okay.
Yeah.
So
Like,
And kind of-
whoa.
I just wanted to start by saying, I had planned to have this meeting with you guys in March of 2020, after I kind of got my feet wet and got my bearings, and then this little thing called COVID hit. So I feel like we're now as a council kind of back to what, I don't want to say normal life, but looking at big picture and just not always focused on COVID-19. So what I shared with you guys is the last couple of years, the state has done a lot of studying and data looking at different communities and counties on what they're doing for early childhood. So I just shared with you guys what they gave us, and they did this interview with me like 9 months ago. So some of the data is actually I changed there.
Yeah, so
It's kind of
percentages.
yeah, the percentages have changed. So obviously we're very, very highly government funded, which is okay for now. We're just also looking for long-term other funding sources. So we're not solely tied to the Department of Early Childhood. So I just wanted to give you guys this information and just kind of share, we're very unique. That's why they finally decided to give Custer County an early childhood council. We can't really compare ourselves to other counties or communities in the state. That's why, again, why they decided to do ours. So some of this is not necessarily it's comparing more apples to oranges, but I just wanted you guys to have an idea on what the state is trying to do in bringing early childhood to the forefront. They want communities, counties, organizations to really look at it as an important piece of infrastructure within your community. One of the big things we've been working on is childcare, expanding childcare here. I'm excited to kind of report that hopefully by the end of November, the childcare center at the school will be open. We have inspections set up this week and next week the school does.
Can I interrupt you just a
yes.
second? Sorry. So the document you gave us, those numbers were provided by the Department of Early
This
Childhood.
one?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, and I was
this,
giving you a
yes.
hard time. It's 20 pages, not 70.
Yes, this was, a lot of this data was compiled from the kids count from 2020 that our community did not participate in, but I am hoping that the next one is in 2023, that we will participate on that. And that actually it is a decision made by the school board
which I don't the reason why it has to be made by the school board is because the school has to administer the survey. So I will be working with them in January to really encourage them to participate in the survey. So that's where a lot of this data does come from, Tom, to answer your question.
And then I don't mean to sidetrack you.
No, good.
Your one statement that perked my ears up was that you were hoping to wean this from federal or from government funding, and I would say why?
Well, wean is not the right word, diversify our funding so that it's not so highly 90% coming from the Department of Early Childhood. Because there's been a pattern. If you look at historically, even before Custer County had an early childhood council, they funded, they cut. They funded, they cut. So councils that have been around for a while have learned to diversify their funding streams from other nonprofits, foundations, local government funding, so that it's not all tied to state funds. So for example, like we were always at what they call the base level funding, very bare minimum. And it's COVID dollars. I'm not going to lie. It's COVID dollars that back in December and January we were awarded, and I was working with Braden, and you saw our budget just went tripled. That's why those numbers are different now. So that's what I mean by diversify our funding, so we're not tied so solely such a high percentage to one funding stream, if that makes sense.
Yep, thank you.
So one of the big things that Lori and I have been talking about, and they're working with us, is a community, or not a community, but a school readiness plan. And when they mean by a school readiness plan, it's not just being prepared for kindergarten. They want to know, are your families ready for school? Are your children ready for school? Is your school and your providers ready for, like, have a good school readiness plan? And is your community at large ready for children? And again, not just to prepare for kindergarten, but what resources do newborns have? Actually, they even say it starts with prenatal. What resources do your families have for prenatal care? What resources do your newborns have? What resources do your toddlers have? So it's not just tied to kindergarten readiness. So that's something that the council is working on as a whole. And I guess I just wanted to kind of put this to you guys as far as just thinking about what we can do as a community to have our families ready. And that's a loaded question. One of the things that we are doing that, and I appreciate you guys are doing, is expanding childcare. And I know that you guys have, with the help of Dorothy, asked the Planning and Zoning Commission to do a special workshop on addressing what has been in the county's zoning rules and regulations. So that's a perfect example of a next great step of what the communities do to help our families get prepared. Now, childcare is not the only need or issue. It's healthcare, it's family supports, it's resources. So I just want this to be kind of the first of conversations with our county commissioners on what we're doing. I mean, I want this to be looked at as like an infrastructure piece for our community as we're trying to keep families here and bring jobs here and all, like, what other things do we need to do that? So one other example is that we're working with Public Community College on offering concurrent enrollment classes for early childhood educators. So the school last year already set up a classroom that has video capability for them to take not just early childhood education classes, but other classes that Pueblo Community College might offer our juniors and seniors. I know you've talked about concurrent enrollment, Tom, in the past. So that is something that I'm working on with the new ECE director at Pueblo Community College, so that juniors and seniors who are interested in maybe doing early childhood education can take 101 and 103 here at Custer County, and then they can do what they call their lab hours in the preschool classroom or in the child care center classroom. So that's another example of what we're doing. But I just wanted to kind of start the conversation about, and not that we're going to find answers today, about early childhood resources for our families in Custer County. So like, this is a rhetorical question, not really rhetorical, but if you guys were raising your families here today, what do you think that your spouses and you guys would need for your family in today's world here in Custer County? We're asking for input. I mean, that's the role of the council, but we certainly want, I think a big piece for us is the community involvement. Again, the last 2 years, I feel like we're out of the last 2 years. One of the things that we've really been working hard on is getting CCKC's name out there. And then the next step is, all right, this is what we do. What is it that you need from the, as families? But I feel like as our county commissioners, we want you guys to be a part of the conversation and the thought process, or if you hear something out in the community that you bring it, to us.
Can you talk to us a little about the pre-K thing at the school? We funded that to some degree through the ARPA dollars.
Yes.
It's gonna be in one or both of those buildings?
So it is, specifically the ARPA funds that the school was awarded was to help with staff for the childcare center. So the childcare center has 3 classrooms. It has a infant age classroom, a toddler age classroom, and a preschool age classroom.
And those are in the buildings,
And that is in the
north of the
brand new
school building.
modular building on the north side of the campus. We're close to having an open house, and we will definitely invite all of you guys to come to that. The preschool classroom is still in the elementary wing of the classroom. That will stay put. This is more for childcare center hours. But another piece that I sent it to Jennifer is, I don't know if you guys have heard about universal preschool coming next year. Basically, what that means is in the fall of 2023, all 4-year-olds in the state of Colorado are supposed to have access to 10 hours of free preschool. Currently, Custer County gives 12 hours of preschool. I shouldn't say free. It's not free.
Not free.
It's the CP Colorado Preschool Program, which is going away next year, and that's being moved into the new Department of Early Childhood. But that preschool classroom in the childcare center is going to play a big role in supporting that. The big concern we hear from some of our families is they need more than just 12 hours. They need more than 10 hours. That was our big argument as a Custer County to the state. Like 10 hours is great, but
10 hours, what, a week, a month, a year?
10 hours a week. 10 hours a week.
And-
So
Not to get off on the whole political
Okay.
side of what we're talking about, right? Because politics has wormed its ugly head into this whole deal, obviously. So when your folks here in the county say we need more than 12 hours, what is that need based on?
that need is based on, I'll give you an example. Their child goes to 12 hours of preschool in the morning. That's from 7:45 to 10:45. They need additional hours from 10:45 to 5.
Okay, so let's,
And this is, again, not to your point, this is where I think with the universal preschool work that we've been doing, it's been very interesting because I think they're making everybody redefine childcare versus preschool.
Or babies.
that's where I was
Yes.
headed.
And so that's been, we've talked about this on their redefining what, basically, are we talking about preschool or are we talking about childcare?
And state wants to lump that all together, right? So that
Yeah.
preschool education piece lines up with babysitting needs.
And
For the
so
working
that's where, thank you, Brayden. For the universal preschool part, that's coming. I mean, this is, like you said, it started with the ballot of Prop EE in 2020, the tobacco tax, and it passed. And so basically, the governor decided that those funds would go towards starting 10 hours of free preschool in the fall of 2023. So every community had to identify what they call a local coordinating organization. And the council met with the school, met with Laura from DHS, met with just various stakeholders in our community to decide what would be the best, who would be the best LCO for Custer County. And it was decided that it was going to be a mutual partnership between the Custer County Kids Council and the school district because the school district currently houses our preschool. So we are in a partnership to do the LCO work. The state is still trying to define eligible providers to participate. You're not required to participate in UPK. But that's where it gets muddy as far as the providers. You have home-based providers. So for example, Robin and Willeen, if they choose to participate, they could participate and offer, if they had 4-year-olds in their care, families would be eligible for that 10 hours of funding.
How do they get paid? It's free, but somebody's gonna pay the bill.
So the department, we decided as an LCO that the Department of Early Childhood would be the fiscal agent, and they're gonna send payments directly to the providers.
State dollars.
State dollars, yeah. The rate has not been set. That's been another big question. They're looking at that next week. And then they will take it to the new department head. Dr. Lisa Roy is the director of the Department of Early Childhood. She reports directly to the governor. There's a committee that will decide the rate. So that's a big piece as far as providers opting in, but to kind of bring it back first full circle to your point, Tom, it is kind of redefining preschool versus childcare. Our school district they still would like to still keep it as it is, where you have the 3-year-old class in the morning, the 4-year-old class in the afternoon.
What do they do with 3-year-olds? Kind of send them home?
So that's, I mean,
Do they stay
that's
in?
how they go. Now they have to go home, but ideally, if, again, it has to do with space, that preschool age classroom, they could now go to that classroom in the afternoon. It would be flip-flop. So for example, let's just say hypothetically, starting in January, it'll be open. Our 3-year-olds will be in preschool in the morning, and then in the afternoon, whoever needed to could go to that preschool classroom in the afternoon, and the 4-year-olds would be in that classroom in the morning, and then they would go to the preschool classroom in the afternoon. But it's still not enough space.
So they would have some unified preschool and some childcare preschool provided.
So, and that's the other thing they're talking about is there's still a lot more unknowns. That's why I sent, I don't know if you got it, but Jennifer has what we know now versus what we don't know. It looks like this, the universal fact sheet.
It's at the agenda.
It is a lot.
Oh, yeah, all on the same. Perfect. So there's a lot of still unknown questions. But one of the things they keep talking about is grading funding sources. So 10 hours will be paid for. But then you have what they call CCAP. That's a financial, people can qualify for financial aid assistance for childcare. All of our providers have a CCAP license. And then they talk about other local funding sources. And that's why I keep asking, I'm like, what do you mean by local funding sources? They're like, well, some local governments help support their childcare providers, whether it's at a school or individuals. I mean, that's not the point of this conversation today, but UPKs, it's a lot.
So what are you looking for this discussion then?
The first of many discussions as far as what do our families need here in Custer County to have a thriving child ready for life after they graduate
Graduate from,
high school. So like I said, this was a conversation I just wanted to have to kind of start. And I think to kind of close is that you guys, I appreciate the first thing that you have done as far as our ask is, and that was the piece with the planning and zoning.
the kids council goes all the way through grade 12.
No, sir, we go through grade 8, but the whole point is that age 8 is that they have what they need in those early years
Okay.
to thrive
get through,
after,
yeah.
exactly, to thrive
So-
after. So I guess we don't have a lot of asks right now. This is more just food for thought, thinking about as commissioners, when we're talking about resources for our families, what exactly does that? What do you guys think that might?
I'm having a little trouble understanding the first, second, and third graders got their time dedicated. It's nothing to do with preschool and after school and all that. Isn't,
I don't understand. your
well, I don't
question.
either. So what are you gonna do with the first, second, and third grade?
That's not part of this
That's
conversation.
what she said.
No, so the council, the role of the council focuses on supporting families that have children between the ages
Preschool,
of newborn
Uh-huh.
to age 8.
that's what I'm saying, age 8.
So age 8, what do we have in our community for second, third, fourth, and fifth graders? Not fifth graders,
Fourth,
second, third. Third is kind of the
First,
cutoff
second, third.
for second and third to do.
Where they're gonna be going, to-
Don't
when they're
have
not
a lot.
going to school.
When they're not going to school, what do we have for our families to engage in for their kids?
So
I worked with the school on what they can do. Who else can the Kids Council work with within our community to bring more of those resources and options here?
So the educational piece, first, second, and third, you're assuming the school district's got that covered.
From the
They should.
education piece, but not the
Exactly. No,
healthcare
no,
piece,
just
not the
education,
family support piece. Exactly, yeah,
which
yeah.
was gonna be.
But we
my
do have a lot
question.
of homeschoolers too.
So
they get the money.
Well,
Not
the
for-
assumption.
Go I meant, yeah, the assumption that the school and then those that choose to be homeschooled, they're getting that support
Right.
from those particular resources.
That's
But-
the assumption,
Yes,
whether
that's
it's
the
happening or not,
assumption.
who knows, but that's
Right,
how.
right.
Not a
Program
requirement.
design.
No. No.
So. What emphasis is placed on education? Preschool. Are they, I hate to be rude and obnoxious, are they providing a babysitting program or are they providing an educational program or both? And if they're providing both, what's the emphasis on the education?
I'm gonna let you answer that. So for the preschool and the school, like, you mean the Custer County preschool program? Or the childcare.
You guys.
What are we doing for the
Childcare. Well, not childcare, because it's supposed to be childcare, right? They're
Well,
not supposed to be
yeah,
education.
And, well, it is though. So childcare is very different than like even when I was
Okay,
experiencing childcare. Because they are licensed, they have to do professional development, continuing educational hours. There is a curriculum and they follow the Department of Early Education guidelines. So while there is education happening. In order to be licensed and to qualify for these UPK dollars, they do have to be following some sort of academic curriculum. And the academic goes from cognitive, so your basic pre-letters, pre-reading, that kind of thing, to social emotional, to fine motor, gross motor, so like writing and then like bigger muscle movements, and then also adaptive, like are they dressing themselves, are they feeding themselves, are they able to solve problems? So all of those things are being addressed in both the preschool
okay.
and the childcare
Okay.
centers. So, and part of what CCKC is doing is I am becoming a credentialed coach. So I have a background in early education, I have a master's degree in it. And so I will be going into these programs and providing additional support and training and observations and that kind of thing. So that's how we
As
kind of
well
support those.
as home providers.
As well as home, any
Access that. So
and
it's
parents.
definitely
parenting programs as well.
changed. Like she's saying, how, when I grew up, you know,
It was
when you were growing,
babysitting.
it was more babysitting. But they really are trying to emphasize that Robin and Wileen are teaching our children.
Mhm.
In that, in what maybe historically we used to think was more just childcare.
Yeah.
From,
Daycare.
Yeah.
exactly, right.
So it's
It is-
very different.
It
And
is changing. They are trying to change that. So I guess they are trying to change that where you have childcare versus preschool and they're slowly going like this. And it's hard because they're now school districts are now having to redefine them, redefine themselves, good or bad.
And running
in
a
our
preschool program through a school is very expensive. So they want to get these home providers or other childcare centers licensed and credentialed and quality education programs. So the school district is not, it's so, because it is so pricey.
Right.
It's just a different way of doing it.
But that's, I guess, that's the education piece. We have 3 frameworks that we work under, and it's in that sheet you have. Early learning and development, family supports and education, and health and well-being.
We didn't get that.
Yes, you did. It's right here.
Early childhood.
Is that
programs is on
Early
page
learning
14.
and development. Family supports and education, health and well-being. Those are
Front
the,
page looks
We got
like-
it. We got it.
Page
Okay, yeah,
14,
we do that,
15,
yeah.
and 16.
Scroll
There was
down.
another document, right?
yeah, and I went ahead and uploaded
Okay,
it.
we did not have that.
This,
So
this
I
one.
thought that's the one.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to Include that, I got it.
Yeah, she's getting some out of it.
That one there's a different
Yeah.
one. We didn't get that one.
That, yeah.
It's the only one we didn't get. or I didn't get.
So to your point, Tom, like, yes, there's the education piece. The school district plays a big role in that within their world. What, what are we doing as a community? And that's what we're looking at as a council is what are we doing, especially from newborn to 3, before they even get over there? What are we doing to support our families so that they have the tools and resources they need so that that 3-year-old is prepared for that next step and then the next step and the next step? What are we doing as a community for 0 to 3? What resources do we have? And so that this, like I said, I want this to be the first of conversations that what is our community? What do we have that we're doing great? What is it maybe we could do differently? What is it that we've never had that, okay, we do need this here in Custer County? The dinner, the Valley Strong dinner that we had back in September. We were there for the first time formally. We had the jump house. It was, we were there. And we had a lot of the volunteers I asked that have worked that event since its inception were so surprised pleasantly by how many young families came to the dinner and participated and are now living here. It surprised them, like how many we have now. So what can we do to support those families? That's my big question. There's not an answer right in today on October 31st, but what can we do? We feel like we're the front line. The Kids Council is kind of where it starts, but collaborating with our local government, collaborating with the school, collaborating with the gym, collaborating with the library. Who else can we collaborate with, and what is it that we need? That's the whole point of this conversation, to start us thinking in those different, education is important. UPK is going to be a part of it. I don't want it to be solely, I don't want that to turn into the council's solely work is UPK, because there's other important things. Healthcare, like I'm finally meeting with the new director at the clinic. One of my thought process is, okay, we're now part of the Rockies. What do they have in Salida that we don't have here yet? And how and why can't we get that here? Right now for healthcare, most families have to travel down the hill for any type of pediatric support or anything like that. So is there a pediatrician that we could get here to come once a month? Those are the kind of the things where I might, at some point as a council, we might need your guys' support on those type of endeavors. So like I said, kind of
What
the first
age group does the school become officially involved? 4?
Well, right now it's 3 because they offer the 3-year-old preschool program
In the building?
in the building. What does that make you think?
Well,
Or what?
Probably old school thinking here. I doubt I'd be the only one, is when should a public school be responsible for educating kids? At what age? 3? I just rear back and go, good God.
Well, federally, they start getting involved at 0 if they qualify for any sort of additional services. So the state also starts to get involved around first. The school district doesn't.
That's what I'm talking about, the school
Yeah.
district in Custer County.
And a lot of that was pushed from the IDEA back in the 90s about getting the special ed services, which starts at age 3, which then the school district starts to take over because it all rolled into that same funding stream.
So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a big question. I mean, obviously a couple of years ago, it was before I was in this role, but then they rolled out kindergarten for all. I think Custer County was already had free kindergarten, but that wasn't the case all over the state. So now I feel like they're slowly, to answer your point, asking school districts they're moving that age back a little bit, especially with the UPK. I mean, the 4-year-old, 10 hours, it's a start, that they are asking school districts to start formally doing it sooner. Whether that's right or wrong, I mean, everybody's entitled to certainly their opinion or thought on it, but at least for us, I mean, for Custer County, this, it's a county school, it's a big institute, it's an institution here that us as a council, we have to work with, because I mean, it is one of the bigger institutions here for our community. But that's not the end all be all. I mean, that's why I tell people, like, I'm not, if somebody wants to come up, open a community preschool program, they're gonna have my support 120%. I'm not solely tied to Custer County School District. They're one of my partners and I collaborate with them very closely. But what other community entities would be interested in supporting, not interested, I mean, we should be supporting our families. So like I said, I want this to be the first of many conversations, especially now that I kind of feel like with us as a council, I have some stability. I have, we have actually a staff now, which is exciting. And I feel like we're kind of now coming out, like it's not all COVID, like we're back. I mean, I'm looking big picture. I'm looking at putting some systems into place and some system building that is long going for our community. And so I just wanted to have the first conversation kind of like this, not just a report on this is what we've done the last 6 months. On getting your guys' wheels going on.
So any movement on additional child care providers in our county?
We're working on that. As a matter of fact, in January, just because it's hard with all the holidays coming up, we're gonna have I think we're gonna do a brunch, but we're gonna host it with Robin and Wileen have both volunteered their time to basically, we're gonna do a lunch to interested individuals and families that might be tooled around the idea of opening a childcare in their home to come, and Robin and Wileen will answer questions recently, good, bad, and the ugly. So we're gonna start doing a big campaign with that in January.
The future of Willeen's business?
She has kind of said, I mean, I don't want to, but that probably this summer. It's gonna.
So there's definitely a need.
Mhm.
And as you were saying, kind of talking to your point, going to school at 3 is a big deal, right? So like a lot of people do want that home childcare provider. It's a softer entrance.
Right. Again, you said everybody's entitled to their own personal views and opinions, and I just don't think public schools in Colorado in general are designed to deal with 3-year-olds. I mean, doesn't mean they can't change, but I just.
They are kind of under their own umbrella, like they're removed from a lot, but yeah, I agree. It's
Yeah,
a big deal to walk into a
I'm talking
school
about
that's K-12 and
everyday
you've
boots on kids' feet on the ground, 3 years old, man.
But I was gonna say, but also, if we look at it on the flip side, it is a great opportunity for us as a council and for us as a community to start them off very strong, start the families off very strong at 3 and build that strong community by it, there is a benefit there as well.
Right. And for families that choose to do that, I mean, that's one of the things the school is excited about. And this has been a 2-year, as you all 3 know, joint effort that Mike McFalls came to me back in January of 2021, that with the childcare center opening at the school. And again, families can choose whether they want to participate in it or not. The school, I mean, we're in a unique situation where now we could possibly offer newborn through 12th grade, whether you agree with that or not, but that they the school can cultivate that type of mindset and that type of environment.
Which is great for faculty who needs childcare.
Yeah, I mean, that's that fine line between childcare and education. To me, that's where it shakes out. Don't discount either one. I'm not 100% sold on this blending of both at age 3. It's just me. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Like I said, just food for thought. Want this to be the first of other conversations, workshops, I don't know, whatever words, if you think, identify other people in the community, retired, people in the community that maybe could help get some new ideas and, or maybe want to volunteer their time. And, we're definitely open to bridging. I mean, I think we're a unique community where we do have a lot of people that come here to retire. But then we have a lot of families that have moved here that want to raise their family here because of what our community can offer, and blending both of them, if that makes sense.
Very good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a good day. Thank you again for coming. Appreciate
See you
that.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Okay,
Do you have any idea what we're doing here today, sir?
Do I know what we're doing?
I'm talking to Kevin,
I'm just,
because I've kind of lost track.
well, we're working through.
That we are.
Good discussion there, though. I think we've all made the comments.
One thing I worry about is childcare, education, and government and involvement in indoctrination. Where you draw a line, and they're not gonna get your baby sad unless you do something. She mentioned social, emotional stuff. It's up to the family first. Not worry about other strings that could be attached later.
Did you get the financial assurance paperwork from?
So next is the wildlife. urban-
Wildland urban interface, building codes.
I was just asking, is he gonna bring? it
Somebody
in?
in line with that, who's doing
He actually.
it? Who he?
That would be Matt. He was in here earlier and he said he had to go fired. Something, I think he had to go get a fire truck. I'm not really sure if there was a
Are you gonna
fire.
reschedule him for another day or? what's
He
going
is
on?
going to email you just some information. The big thing that he wanted you to know is that coming down the pipe, there are going to be laws and things that are going to be coming into place that could impact in the future building codes. Having to do with the wildlife, the fire risks and building codes.
Depending on where they're built.
That's all he was going to do was.
They probably ought to come back.
Was gonna provide you with that information. He's going to email it to you. And then he can come back or you can respond. But he just wanted you to know that it's coming in the next couple of years. So then you're not blindsided. Okay,
Thank you for relaying that to us. So we will look for that email. Okay. Next item on our agenda then would be the consideration of financial assurance
if that's,
requirements for the landfill.
as you can see. So if that's okay, once you approve it, I'll just email that copy to him.
Okay. So we have, this is a letter that is addressed to Miss Tanya Gray, financial analyst at the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment.
And we don't have that copy, correct?
I will pass it around as soon as I read it here. You can look at
That's
it.
what Brian brought up the other day.
So it's correspondence certifying that Custer County has complied with financial assurance requirements contained in CRS 3020-104.5 and section 4 of the solid waste regs. As of December 31st, 2021, $757,887 has been reported as the Custer County landfill closure and post-closure care liability. This amount represents the cumulative amount reported to date based on the use of 98% of the estimated capacity in the landfill. In February 22, the Custer County landfill received its financial assurance cost estimated inflation update for the 2021 end of year. The estimate closure and post-closure costs are as follows. 22 closure cost estimate, $211,166. 2022 post-closure cost estimate, $562,188 for a total of $773,354. Custer County will recognize the remaining estimated cost of closure and post-closure care of $23,201 as the remaining estimated capacity is filled. These amounts are based on what it would cost to perform all closure and post-closure care in 2021. The Custer County landfill has a remaining useful life of 0.5 to 1 years based on current use estimates. If you have any questions or require additional information, please contact Brian Lockhart. Give us his information.
No idea.
I don't know the password either.
So do we need to approve this letter? Or do we need to ratify you signing it, or what's the?
I think that was put on there in case we did approve it. That's an electronic signature that's on that.
Okay,
And all but one.
well, I would move we approve
I'll
the
second.
financial assurance letter to CDPHE.
Okay, Brian, Bill doesn't know his password.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to approve the letter to the CDPHE for the approval or for the financial assurance requirements for the landfill. Any further discussion?
I'm here.
Second,
I didn't.
I'm not seeing any hands online. Those in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Right,
Aye.
Aye.
We have already, I guess we have, next item would be the consideration of approval for the SAR mold remediation for $1,800.
can you go ahead and stick that in our packet so we have a record of it?
Yeah, it's already there.
Thanks.
And we had some discussion on this earlier during public comment.
Just to ratify the spending. I move we do it, except ratify it. Got a contractor did it.
You just what? You texted it to. Okay, thank you.
I would second that and move into discussion. I was kind of unaware of some of those events. I guess I'm not sure when this contractor moved in.
So here's my involvement. Tom was involved with it earlier, they told me, and he, when they came back to talk to him, he wasn't here, and the guy was pushing on him. This is them in the building, hammers are flying, you can hear him talking. We gotta do it, the mold on the wall, they're here, and if he leaves, blah, blah, blah. And so, because of that, I said, they asked it, I gotta have $1,800 now, it's gonna be a lot more to do with it later, something to that. Made sense, and because of the previous involvement, and that's all I'm.
I guess I would ask a question. Remind me of the gentleman that was here, or
Gene,
Gene. Is a member of the SAR. SAR was initially doing this project, and then the sheriff's office got involved because they are the ones that hired this contractor. Is that my understanding?
my perception is you're correct. Why and how and when Rich Smith got involved, I can't tell you, other than the fact that when I was over there, there wasn't any discussion about bringing in a remediation company.
Right.
And then the next thing, Rich Smith called me or sent me a text or an email, and I said, well, just keep me posted, and then.
And that's my question. It sounds like we got two different departments trying to do the same work on the same building, and we had a conflict on, I mean, we need to.
You know how the mold guy got.
Yeah, we need to have, I mean, if SAR was doing this, it should have been SAR that brought in the people
Somebody should have
we
been in
need to have
charge.
one person in charge and not two people doing parallel
So it sounded,
things.
yeah, that's what it sounded like to
Oh.
me, and they had this guy coming in and that surprise with the mold, and so they needed immediately blah, blah, blah.
Well, it really started with Adrian. Adrian one is the one that raised the red flag about we have black mold, we gotta do something, we gotta halt all the work until we get this remediated. Well,
Had to be
I
done.
said, I don't know anything about black mold. I said, if you believe there is, then we probably ought to find somebody that lives in that world and have them.
That's true, because he said that gal was there getting headaches or whatever, because she worked there.
So,
That being said, we still need one.
Yeah.
One
Somebody
head.
should have been in
We
charge.
need
Who was
one
doing
head,
it? It
not
sounds
two or
like
three.
this our guys are contracting the contractor, should have been in charge.
So,
Yeah.
and that's my only concerns here. I mean, they had the go ahead for that. I'm gonna support this motion. But per our conversation earlier, it raised some questions to me
What's going
because
on?
we had one group, Star, that was starting the process already, and then all of a sudden there's somebody else in there that was brought in by a whole different department. And
Yeah.
that is circumventing what needs to
So
happen.
why did Rich get in the middle of that? How did he do that?
can't speak to that really, other than obviously the sheriff's department, OEM and search and rescue are all intertwined.
Yeah.
Both departmentally and with the use of that building.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
It just begs,
assuming
begs to have better communication between all of the entities and one person making those calls when there's a project going on.
From me.
yeah, I mean, search and rescue wrote a grant for 20,000 to work on those water leaks and get that stuff done in that building. So that's where it started. I understand Gene's concern, you know, it would have been nice, say, hey, this is what we think we need to do. But I wasn't aware the search and rescue was literally in the building doing the work when Adrian called me and said, we've got mold now.
Yeah.
Bill, you might have known that they were even over there working. I did not. So,
I didn't have, surprised me when they called.
So,
That's a search and rescue project, it sounded like.
yeah, they're the ones that wrote the
Yeah.
grant.
So I
And they're the
can-
ones doing the work.
I can understand his concern for that if you're in the middle of doing a project that you've got the funds to do and everything else. And
Yeah,
then
we-
circumventing,
They're just bystanders.
I'd be upset as well.
Well, I think looking back, Adrian should have went to Gene and said, hey, what do you think? You guys are doing the project. My concern is I believe we have mold and I think it needs to
I
be.
wonder what he
addressed."
did there, that's a good question.
So. Yeah, I think it would,
So they'll resolve it.
the conversation with Adrian or discussion with Rich as well, you know, maybe just to find out how it all went down or something, just so we have.
I'll have him,
open lines of
I'll
communication.
ask Adrian to just bring it in the report and tell us.
Because
If he, that's part of his, what he did, if that was part of his job, he'll be reporting it. When is that? Second day, he's on the last day, and
so, yeah, just,
we'll have him do it.
I would just like a little clarification on how that got so muddled.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and Adrian told me, hey, I'm just a tenant in the building. I'm out of the building until they get it fixed. But that was after he stirred the pot.
Somebody
Got everybody
got
all
that mold
worked up.
guy in there. I'd like to know who called him.
Rich Smith,
He called him
yes.
because Adrian was
He
concerned.
signed, did you see the documents? He signed all the paperwork.
No, I didn't see him.
It's in your packet.
Yeah, I see it right there.
Yeah, I got it.
Which server? Okay,
Good enough.
so I would just like to find out
He
how
must have been the only
how
one
it
hanging
all
around.
kind of morphed into what it did, so
Sure.
is my concern. Any other discussion? Anything online? I'm not seeing anything. Okay, those in favor then of approving the remediation cost of $1,800 at the SAR building, signify by saying aye.
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 I,
Okay, question. How should this be coded? Which department gets it?
Maintenance, I guess.
Would it be maintenance?
Well, I think it needs to come out of building and maintenance, yeah,
Okay,
that's my opinion.
Mine do.
Agreed.
perfect. And we'll do it as like
Um,
more than monthly as capital, but I'll send it over to accounting.
yeah, I could see it coming out of capital outlay as well, but
Maybe.
um,
Or maintenance ends and capital begins, and how much the remodel is.
Well, and I think anything over 1,000 is capital, but we'll double check that with Braden.
Fair enough.
So.
Do we have any additional items of business?
just for clarification, when did we get consideration of funding the repair work at search and rescue? Is that on Wednesday or Tuesday? Tomorrow?
I'm sorry, say that again.
When did you schedule the item of business concerning consideration of funding for the search and rescue?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Bill?
I'm here.
Okay,
I've done betting. I was gonna bet on the Chile results, but I've learned my lesson not to gamble with you.
that's right. I might accidentally pull it out. Okay, public comment. If there's any public comment that anyone would like to bring at this time, feel free to do so. Not
Doesn't appear to
seeing
be.
anything online. That being the case, I will adjourn this meeting at 11:52 a.m. Thank you all.